let's just start hot. Quentin Flynn. Hello. You guys got like a hop on that one. That was good. Michael Gough. Andre Stojka. Mary Gibbs. And last but certainly not least, Tony Anselmo. Adam, I don't know how you got the arrangement where you not only get to sit down, but you get to sit down next to Donald Duck. Like, I don't know.
I don't hate any of it, I'll be honest.
Don't know how that worked. So, first of all, you guys know who all these wonderful people are, right? Let's make it easy. Why don't we start down? I like to call it. Oh, we have a panel crasher. Is that okay? Let's make some room for him on the stage. Please welcome Derek Stephen Prince. Adam, I think we can share a podium, dude. I think we're okay. How about that, right? SacAnime is where it is at for sure. All right, so let's start down at the end of the table. I call this the "Who is your daddy and what does he do" part of the panel. And just for people that maybe are just kind of walking in and wondering who you are and what you do and why you're here, let's do those introductions starting down there at the end. Quentin.
Hi, hello, hi. My name is Quentin Flynn, and from the Kingdom Hearts series, people would know me as Axel and or Lee. But in the past, I've been the Human Torch, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Reno from Final Fantasy, Count from Bleach, and Jin from League of Legends, and basically your worst nightmare and your happiest Saturday. So I'm really grateful to be here with this talented cast around me. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Michael Gough here. Let's see. Some of the things I will list quickly, Gears of War, video games, Gears of War, Diablo, Deckard Cain, a bunch of other stuff. Some of the afternoon shows, Tailspin, Colonel Spigot, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop. For our purposes, it's the visiting from the 100-acre wood world of Winnie the Pooh, the character of the Gopher, who popped in Kingdom Hearts. So thank you all for attending.
So I was the voice of Boo in Monsters, Inc., and then Baby Riley in Inside Out. Could give you my best. Mike Wazowski. But I was 3, so that was my real voice.
My name is Derek Stephen Prince, and I played the voice of Vexen.
I gotta tell you, I am an aspiring voice actor myself, and if I could get to a point where all I have to do is say one thing and the whole room goes crazy and I don't have to say anything else, I'll die happy. That's awesome.
Actually, there is one word you could say that you're not supposed to say that would clear the room.
I'm not going there.
No. Begins with an F, ends with E.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So, seeing as how this is a video game panel, I wanted to kick it off by getting a feel for our panelists here, and finding out if you guys are video gamers yourself, if you have been in a previous life. Tell us a little bit about that. Anyone? Anybody?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was busy taking pictures of this beautiful crowd.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was. What was the question?
I think the question was, do any of you actually play video games?
No, I sit on branches and trees all the time. I don't have time for that.
That's the best answer.
I think I might have played League of Legends for like 3 weeks in high school, and then watched my friends play all of Kingdom Hearts. So that's as far as I got.
Well, while we're on the subject of voiceover, before we shift over to that, there's a video game that you guys are here to hear us talk about. Before we get to that, on the subject of voiceover, I've heard this, and I want you guys to break this down. It is considerably different doing voiceover in a video game environment than it is in a film or television environment. Can someone go over the kind of differences and complications of having to record 80 million lines of dialogue?
It's the same for me. There's no difference.
There's no difference for you?
No. They give us a script and we say it and they record it.
Are the scripts longer?
No, Kingdom Hearts isn't any longer than DuckTales.
A lot of dialogue there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, hi. I'll tell you, my experience, when I've done an original animation series, we work in an ensemble the way we are now. We work together. If it is a video game series, generally speaking, I'm working alone in the booth. If it's original material, I'm being directed and giving my interpretation, sometimes with a camera on my face so that they can use that to incorporate with CGI later in post. Occasionally, like when I was doing the series Metal Gear, they would thank you. Yeah, they did a great job, and so did I. They would bring in another actor, and there would be two of us working together in scenes, so it was a little closer to the ensemble experience of original Western animation. And yeah, that's the difference between television series, original animation, video game voice acting. Sometimes there's suit work for motion capture. And if someone is doing anime, that's when you are working to a TV screen with headphones on, you hear a series of beeps, and then you have to start acting to dub in the lines into anime, which means Japanese animation. We're turning it into English language, which is a combination of acting and rhythm. So having a musical ability, musicality, as well as the chops to deliver and take directions is what makes that very special. You do that alone with a director who's also a producer. There is your difference.
One thing I also remember about the series, especially as my particular character in it, was because it was already done in Japan and then they brought it over. There would be occasions when I would have to have things timed exactly to what the previous character had said, because there was a very short window in which to be able to insert that dialogue to what it was already done. Just another addition.
I would just add quickly that one thing about working alone is that you have to kind of imagine what the input might be from other characters. When the other characters are there with you, you do have the advantage of feeling that energy, having something maybe a little more spontaneous happen. So you're relying a little bit more on your own imagination without getting too far, down inside your own rabbit hole, because you still have to come from the reality of that particular character.
I agree.
Right?
All right, so we got a healthy question line over here on the on this side of the room. So let's go ahead and toss over there for our first question from the audience. What's your name, sir?
My name's Jaime.
Jaime, thank you so much. What do you have to ask our Kingdom Hearts panel today?
My question would be for you guys: has been your favorite moment, like funny or...
Oops.
Tap on it, brother. Tap on it. Squeeze it. Call it a pet name.
What has been your favorite moment or funniest moments you guys ever had while recording?
It's a loaded question.
I'm just happy that I
We're
was
stunned.
a part of it, to be honest.
Here right now.
Favorite moment, is always acting, being in the moment, having that experience where, reality is transcended, at least for me, where I'm not in my head anymore or necessarily in my body. I'm just in the moment as a particular character. And they go, okay, stop, we've got what we want. It's like, wait, what? I feel like I'm coming out of a dream and something beautiful just happened.
Yeah, it's all good when you get to work because we're doing what we, hopefully what we love to do and what we like to work at, and we're getting to be creative, and it's a privilege, and especially anything related to Disney, because you're sort of carrying that tradition in whatever small way it might be. So just the actual doing of any of this stuff could at any moment be, this is my favorite thing.
There was a moment in A Twist in Time, a Cinderella project, where the king is talking to one of the sisters who magically is going to marry his son, and he thinks it's for real. Cinderella's being excluded from this, and he is talking to his son, or his potential future daughter-in-law, and he is remembering his late wife. And he's trying to picture her in the position with his son as his late wife was with him. And it's a tender, tender moment between people. And to me, that's the most memorable thing, because you don't get that kind of moment in animation. It's usually everybody is moving very quickly, but it's not very emotional. And that, to me, was a great, great moment. I was glad to be part of that. I was glad that they did that and let me do it.
I would just like that to happen in real life.
Mary, you have a great story about how you recorded for Monsters Incorporated that's very different than anybody else's.
Well, yeah, so I was 2.5 to 3.5 when I was recording, and so it was my dad's work, so I was just having fun, and they ended up just taping a microphone to a boom and following me around the studio and just recording all my kid voices. So, the whole experience is just fun in itself that I just got to play every day, So, yeah, going to my dad's work, was a fun experience.
So do you get paid for a gig like that, or is that like against child labor laws? How does that work?
Paid for college, so.
Savings bonds?
So wait a minute, nepotism? That actually still exists?
No.
What? Nepotism in show
It's
business?
not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, or who knows you, really.
Thank you very much for your question. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Give it up. It was good. Next question. Come on up. Oh, I love this guy already. This is awesome.
This man's name is Champ.
I'm not even going to ask you what your name is. You are Mega Man. Go, Mega Man.
Yeah, thank you for coming to SacAnime. So my question is, when you did Kid, do you have your favorite Final Fantasy characters who you like to meet, or hopefully they will come to your world?
What other, did you say Final Fantasy?
Characters.
What other Final Fantasy characters would we like to meet if they came out of reality and into our world, or into the Kingdom Hearts world?
In the Kingdom Hearts world.
Ah. He's talking about the crossover of the Final Fantasy game franchise into Kingdom Hearts, correct? Isn't Cloud the only character who's in both, or am I wrong? Who is it? Somebody, what is it?
I guess there are a lot of them.
I don't know that.
Order in the court. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I'm taking one for the team. Apparently, there are multiple characters that cross over. Which answers the first question, no, I don't play the games.
Well, it seems we have a learned clown here who knows a lot about
Come on up.
this question.
If you give us please come up and give us the list of characters that cross over. Honestly, that would be really helpful. Hey. He's got the mic.
Sepha who? Never heard of him.
Thank you.
So just off the top of my head, the Final Fantasy characters to appear in Kingdom Hearts are obviously Cloud. There is Eris, Tifa, Sid, Yuffie, Squall Leonhardt, Titus, Sophie, I know, stupid millennials. Waka, there's probably more, but that's the ones that appear off the top of my head. They primarily appear in Destiny Island and the more generic hub worlds, i.e. Radiant Garden, Traverse Town, etc. So if anyone thinks that I'm wrong or leaving someone out, please raise your hand.
No, we think you're right. Let's give him a hand. Let's give him a hand. Yeah, come on.
It's all awesome. Give it up. We can take our next question. Come on up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I need to try it.
Listen to your stuff and just try it.
So yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
There's your answer, all of them.
Because if anybody could, you.
Which characters have crossed over? Yes.
Everyone asks me, and I just like, but I need to.
Howdy, my name's Tony. My question is, what's something you wish you knew when you started your voice acting career?
That dressing in red would get me the attention it's getting you.
Just by the way, nobody's going to get away with not answering this. I want to hear all these answers. So,
All right, I'm going to keep telling. It's all about acting. And it's anybody asks. I want to get into voiceover. I have a great voice. I've been told I have a great voice. I've been told I have a great voice. It's all about acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I came from. I was doing the acting theater thing kind of long before I sort of discovered what the voiceover world was. And it is, when you boil it down to it, all about the acting, because sometimes it's a silly voice, sometimes it's just a regular straight voice. But it all has some core of truth. And it has to be believable no matter, how wacky it is. So to be able to interpret things, not to get too esoteric here, but, to be able to use your imagination in ways that connect to the truth of whatever this character might be, and then hopefully have the vocal, talent to bring things to life. That's kind of where it all begins, at least the way I think of it.
I love the way you're required to buy into the situation. And here's a realistic situation. You're an owl that sits in a tree and looks over the 100-acre wood, and you say, right, I understand that. I buy into it, and I'm going to be that owl in every aspect of me, and you'll hear me move. I'll be that character. And that to me is exciting, to be able to do something like that, to just leave yourself and envelop a character that you never created before, that you now become. It's thrilling.
I'll just add to that, because Tony Anselmo is the voice of Donald Duck, and there's a lot of people who would be like, well, I can do Donald Duck. Well, no, he does it, and there's a reason, because not only can he affect that voice that's absolutely unique in this stamp of which everybody knows, but the man makes it believable. People say seeing is believing, but being is believing, and he is living that role and being that character authentically, who not only is able to deliver the goods with the sound and tone of the voice, but the point of view. And he's able to do that without wearing any pants.
That's the best part. I don't have any pants on, and you don't know that. See, for me, I started as a traditional animator, being tutored by the men that worked with Walt. So we were trained and apprenticed on the method of what made it different from other. And this is when it was Walt. It wasn't a corporation. So I was trained in those intrinsic foundations, the tricks of the trade, and the voice stuff came later, and I was tutored by the original voice, Clarence Nash, who was very kind to share that with me and entrust me with that. So it's really about legacy to me and carrying on that tradition correctly and with respect. And as far as the voice goes, it doesn't come from your vocal cords, it comes from your heart and your soul. You become that character. So there's a lot about me that's like Donald. We're very similar, but I do have to put it on and turn it off, and I don't do it for long because I can only record for about 2 hours, and then the voice goes and I have to give it a rest. But we skipped Boo.
So the question was, what was exciting about voice
Like
acting?
what you wish you knew before you started your voice acting career. But, I mean.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? I guess,
I wish I knew how to talk.
yeah, I wish I knew how to say like full words, full sentences. That would have been good. I guess it would just, not even what I wish I would have known, but it just, what I love about having been a part of the movie is just how much the movie was going to impact people. Because I was just, my dad worked on the movie. I was just in the movie when I was little. We had no idea it was going to become such a staple of a lot of kids' childhoods, and so I guess if anything, it would be cool to know that. But yeah, it was just definitely an honor to be a part of that for sure. But yeah.
So let me get this straight. I don't have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to be on set at 6 o'clock. I don't have to get into makeup for 2 hours. I don't have to memorize my lines to be in a scene for like 5 minutes and then wait until my next scene. And I can record a character in 2 hours and still get paid the same? What is that? Oh my God. Why didn't I know that sooner?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, on that note, Derek is going to have to leave us. I'm told he's a very important person in some capacity or another.
Thank you, sir.
We're glad you came. Thank you, guys.
So let's keep moving on down our question line with Chewbacca. Yes, I got that one. Good. Tell us your real. All right, there we go.
My name is Jeff. I was gonna ask if there was ever a possibility of Star Wars being in Kingdom Hearts, but I'm not gonna ask that question. This is more of just a generic audio question. What have been the biggest differences you guys have seen crossing over from analog to digital, from the 80s till now or whatever?
Analog was better. Analog is always better. Paper never crashed or got hacked.
Yeah.
But organically, it is organic. Film and paper and magnetic tape, you had to do the line in one take, or you could do a bunch of takes and they could pick one, but you couldn't do what they do now, where I will do 5 takes of a line and they'll take the first word from the first take and the third word from the second tape and they'll put them together and it will sound different than what I did, which can come in handy, don't get me wrong, that's a nice advantage, but it's not organic. When you could work in a room with other actors and feed off their lines, the performance was more organic. And I just think it was, I don't know, there's more control now, but there's something about having to do it ensemble. And
Well, when you talk about organic, Very often different creative teams are in charge of different projects. And so, and they may not speak to each other, but you're the actor playing the same character in all of those projects. And so, when you really think about it, I'm the only one who really knows how Owl feels when he's doing something.
Yeah.
And so I bring a continuity to that. You bring a continuity to that. But I think that's being lost now in the instinctive, well, this line sounds better than that one. We're not going to worry about the subtext of it, or if there's a relationship attitude toward. That's all we need to do is get the line and the plot out.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing about my voice in particular, Donald's voice, is that there's so many idiosyncrasies to that voice, and the microphones that we used to use are called ribbon mics.
Right.
And they were organic. There's a ribbon in there that literally physically vibrates from the sound hitting it, and then it goes through the wire into the mixing board. Now they have state-of-the-art microphones, but in Donald's case, it picks up every bit of mouth noise and lip smack, which there's a lot of. And it's not as warm a sound. It sounds very shrill and very harsh. And so I still use a ribbon mic. I have the same microphone that Clarence used, and I bring it with me, and they have to do a different, except not on DuckTales, but on the other shows, and they have to EQ the board to fit that mic in, but
It's very cool.
I know that there's a big difference in the way things are auditioned for. When I first started out as a young fella, everything was recorded onto a reel-to-reel tape. My first demo tape, which is still, there's a place in LA, a casting place, where one wall is a bunch of people's old demo tape boxes. And for the first year or so that I was doing it, that's how they still did it. Then it became cassettes. But if you would, for example, go to your agent's office and they would record you, with the tape. And then after they'd get enough people, then they'd have a whole stack of reel-to-reel tapes. A messenger would come, grab them, and run across town and deliver them to whoever. But I can't imagine people sitting there for, hours on end, listening to reel-to-reel tapes, because you can't jump from one thing to the next. You have to kind of go through it. The sound quality was great. Yeah. There was a whole lot less of Frankensteining, where you're taking bits and pieces of different takes and whoosh, just chopping them together, because you needed to be able to be like Benny Hanna, with a razor blade back then, if you were going to do that kind of thing. Yeah, it's much more convenient now, of course, and everything is more compressed. And then if you need something done immediately, well, then you have the means to do it, which is sometimes a good or bad thing. Yeah. But a lot of changes, that's for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it. Next question, come on up. What's your name?
Jacob. I met all you guys yesterday, but this question is for Michael and Andre. I was wondering if you guys got to meet the original voices of Al and Gopher, Hal Smith and Howard Morris, and if so, what were they like?
Go, you go. I knew both of them. Yeah.
Well, I did meet both of them. Worked with Hal while he was, still around and doing Owl, up until his passing. I met Howard Morris once, kind of years later. And we talked a little bit about it, and he goes, "Oh, so you're the guy." Well, you better. I won't repeat exactly what he said. Well, you better be good, because he was great. I mean, he was a really funny character actor who probably most of you don't know him, but in the original Nutty Professor, he played Jerry Lewis's father, and he was just really. He was kind of a small, energetic, funny guy. And for whatever reason, he didn't want or choose to do the Winnie the Pooh series when it started, because he had done the Gopher originally in the shorts, one of which, won an Oscar. And then Hal was such a great guy, and he had done tons of, stuff on TV, and he used to talk a lot about, he was big into horses. I think he owned some racing horses or whatever, but he would talk about all kinds of different things. Both great, funny, wonderful guys.
Wasn't Howard in?
Yeah, Howie. I think the reason he probably couldn't do the Pooh series was he became a very active director of television, and so when you bite that off, you can't do two things at the same time. But he's a very funny guy. What you should do is go on YouTube and put in the show of shows. And you'll see Carl Reiner and Howie Morris and Sid Caesar. It's one of the fundamental basic comedy shows of early television.
Wasn't Howard also on the Andy Griffith Show?
No,
Howard Morris?
No, I don't think Howard.
No, they both were.
Hal Smith was.
Hal was.
Hal was.
Hal was.
Yes.
Well, so was Howard. He was
the
Ernest.
town drunk.
No, Howard was Ernest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see,
I only know this thanks to my dad.
You're right. See, I'm not drunk.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Jacob. Just a real quick reminder, I will be joining Andre and Michael tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the special events room for a Winnie the Pooh panel. So the Winnie the Pooh fans, put that on your calendar. They will be back. I'm looking forward to chatting with these guys tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Go for it.
Hello,
What's your name?
Hello, my name is Jason, and my question is directed to all of you. How hard was it for you guys to break through in the industry, and how did that adversity influence your characters today?
Well, I was 1.5, and I followed my father around with a microphone in the studio as a child, and... Oh, no, that's not my story.
Yeah, I had to struggle a lot to get where I am today.
Well, I'll go. When I was a kid, I said this on a panel yesterday, that I was a big fan of big-time network radio, which was before anybody in this room's time, but was television without the pictures. Big-time writers, orchestras, comedians, all of that stuff. Major talent doing just the sound for radio. And I wanted to be a radio actor. And I did theater on the side. I did a lot of performing. But that was the focus of my attention. When I got out of college, radio died. Happily, I had also had an interest in writing and putting shows together, and so I was able to do something like that. And so I thought the idea of having a career as a voiceover or a radio actor, as I thought of it, was an impossible thing until, 20 years later, when you least expect it, I'm at a TV Academy meeting, and they're doing an evening on voiceover people. And my wife and I went to the meeting, and there were people in there I remembered from radio, and all these people were working. I thought they were unemployed. And I said, but that's what I want to do from the time I was a kid. How do I do that? And it was like I started taking classes and, getting back into it. And a few months later, I was a professional doing it for real. And it was a wonderful story, because if you have a childhood dream of wanting to be something, and then, by God, you're doing it. It's a thrilling thing. So it's been a thrilling career for me.
Anyone else want to jump in on that question? Anyone? No?
Well, just quickly, I kind of came to the whole acting thing late.
That's a great story, Mike. Anyway. No.
Because when I realized that Quentin Flynn was doing the same thing, I said, forget it.
Yeah, the competition is too stiff.
Well, I was in college, not necessarily knowing what am I going to do. Acting was not on my radar at all. But right before I was almost done with college, I saw signs around the campus that said, audition for original one-act plays. And I thought, well, that might be fun to try before I leave school, because I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I always enjoyed reading out loud, and I remember, I'm kind of repeating myself from yesterday, if anybody else heard this, but sitting around watching TV as a kid and kind of mimicking things. So I think I always enjoyed kind of being vocal and reading things out loud. So the upshot of this one audition for these, it was the playwriting students at UC Santa Barbara. Go Gauchos. And so I got chosen, and it was one performance of this one-act play. I'm still really good friends with the woman who wrote this in college, and she went on to win an Emmy for writing. But it's something kind of went off, and I thought, I wonder if this is actually something that might even be a reality to try to do. So I said, oh, okay, well, this solves my problem of not knowing what else to do. I'll just stay in school. So I stuck around for another couple of years and went through the acting program there, and then moved to LA with this new, this whole new thought of, gee, maybe trying to be an actor could be a reality. So, doing a lot of theater and some on-camera stuff here and there. It wasn't for a few years that the voiceover thing sort of reared its head, and okay, I kind of know of it because I see things, I hear things. I don't know anything about it, really. Took a class. That helped a lot. Learned, oh, okay, this is how you read and interpret things for characters, for cartoons, for commercials, for whatever it might be, which kind of led to eventually getting an agent and starting to audition. So it was kind of kind of a typical actor's route of just kind of struggling, not starving, but trying to get work and working at it. And then that's what actually started to click. So I thought, I'll just follow this path. I'm starting to make a living. Wow, really? Okay. And how it informs what you do, I'm not sure. Because when you're doing the work, that's kind of takes your focus. But I mean, I'm always happy and grateful to do whatever comes along. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's almost a fantasy. Wow, that's amazing. Can happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. This next person I'm so excited about. Come on up. Donald Duck, meet Donald Duck. That's amazing. What's your question?
It's for, of course, Mr. Anselmo and the voices of Gopher and Owl. How were you chosen to become the successor to your predecessors?
I kind of did this story yesterday. If any of you heard it, forgive me. But I started at the studio as a traditional animator where we drew every frame. This was before it became a felony. And it was a very small group. There were only 64 people in the animation department, and everybody knew each other. It was really a family. It was Camelot. There was no adversity. Everybody was just there to carry on Walt Disney's dream. It was still called Walt Disney Productions. And Clarence Nash was always on the lot. He was the original voice of Donald Duck, and we became friends. And I did other voices. I could imitate all my teachers in school, and I asked him how to do that voice because it was one that I couldn't do, and he showed me, and I really couldn't do it. But I would practice in the car, in the shower, which is a place that's kind of private, and you can go nuts, and nobody thinks you're crazy. And one day it kind of kicked in, and I showed him, and I said, "Is this it?" And he goes, "That is it." And then he started coming in my room where I was animating on Beauty and the Beast or Lion King, and he would say, "Okay, if Donald was in this situation, what would he say?" Or if Mickey said this, what would Donald say? Or say this word, try this sentence. And I would do it. And I thought, he must be bored. But this is fun, and he's my friend, and I enjoyed it. I didn't know that he had an ulterior motive, because he knew that he had leukemia. He didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew that. And it wasn't until his 50th year when he got all the respect and attention that I think he deserved, because he was on the Academy Awards and he put his footprints in the Chinese theater and Tonight Show. And he was supposed to be the Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade. And I went, and he wasn't in the car. And the next day, his wife Margie called me and said, Clarence is in St. Joseph's and wants to talk to you. And I thought, oh no. And he told me the bad news, and then he said, and I've already arranged with Ron Miller for you to take over. And I'm like, oh, you know, it was bittersweet. So it wasn't something that I could get excited about, because I was about to lose my friend. And on top of that, there were a lot of questions that I didn't get to ask him, because I didn't know his intentions. But Jack Hanna, who was the director of the Donald Duck unit under Walt Disney from 1938 to when they stopped making shorts, was my mentor in animation at CalArts, and he lived another 10 years. So I could go to him and say things like, if I do a lot of tantrums, I feel like it's hard. Was it hard for Clarence? And he said, oh yeah, a couple times he fell over in a dead faint. So, if you have more than 2 hours of it's pretty hard on your system.
I reached a point in my career where they would just send me on a lot of auditions. There's a certain point you can get to that point, and my batting average was pretty fair. So they would send me on things, and Hal passed away, and they needed a replacement for him, and I was one of a whole bunch of people they called in to audition for the part, and I auditioned for it, and put it completely out of mind, which is the way you audition, by the way. When you do something, you do your very best, you put 100% into it, and then you just forget it, because you're probably not going to get it, and there's no point in worrying about it. So I put it out of my mind, and a few months later, they said, oh, they want you over, they're going to record something, and you're Owl. And oh, out of the blue.
Well, I remember it very specifically because they had put out the auditions, and this is when they were first going to do the new adventures of Winnie the Pooh, for all of the original characters who weren't going to be involved, which was all of them except for Tigger and Piglet, I believe. Paul Winchell and John Fiedler, who in real
Fiedler was a great actor. He was in 12 Angry Men. He's one of the in that movie.
And he's in one of the great episodes of Star Trek, the original series, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. But so for these auditions, and I remember as a kid watching the original Pooh things and probably sitting there trying to mimic the Gopher and his. And went to the audition at this place that I mentioned earlier. It's in LA, it's called the Voice Caster.
Yes.
Everybody knows it. It was like kind of the main place when you used to go to locations for mass auditions. It's where they have all the old tape boxes on the wall. And that's where they had the auditions for these sound-alikes. And I remember Jim Cummings going there to audition, and you know, we all know what happened there with Pooh, and then later Tigger when Paul Winchell wasn't around any longer. So, I mean, it was just, and then to find out that, you know, that it came to be when they said, hey, they've chosen you to do Gopher, I was like, wow. That was kind of my first big job. And to boot. It was a Disney thing, something that I remembered and that had meaning and all that. So, yeah, it was kind of just a typical audition situation, but it was very exciting.
Thank you very much. To me.
Thank you so much. I know it's been pointed out you can't see what Tony's wearing, but from the waist down, you guys are actually wearing the same thing. So just keep that in mind. We're going to keep on moving down our question line. Come on up.
I just wanted to add that I also auditioned for Gopher. I was taken out of the mix because I mistakenly thought they were doing a remake of Love Boat. So my take on Gopher was completely wrong.
Hi, I'm Aria. I wanted to ask, how do you relate to your characters that you play?
I beat them into submission. Then I give them candy.
Well, like Owl, I am full of myself.
Yeah, I totally, I love Gopher. I love the way he's kind of cranky and doesn't have a lot of patience, but he's got a heart of gold, but I'm totally on board with him when he's like, but I'll help you out when you need it, and I'll even get excited. Oh, I got a plan for this. Listen. So, yeah, hopefully you've got some connection to every character, but yeah, this one.
Well, the truth of the matter is that every character that you do, no matter how many people were before you, when you're doing a character, the character is partly you. It just is. It's just part of your humanity. And so, yeah, we're all part of who we play.
There are a lot of things where you're different. I'm not a duck, and there are a lot of things that Donald and I don't agree on, but I do have a short temper, and I am a practical joker. I can dish it out, and take it. And fun-loving. A lot of people think that Angry Bird thing, that he's not an angry person. He likes to have fun. He sets out to have a good time. It's when Chip and Dale or something get in his way, and then he gets mad. But all of us at Disney just worked out that we were very much like our characters. I'm very much like Donald, and Bill Farmer is just like Goofy. When I talk to him on the phone, sometimes it's like talking to Goofy. Well, Jen and I are going to go camping this weekend. And Wayne Allwine was the leader of our group. He took over Mickey before any of the rest of us did, and he was respected. And Lucy's very, very, very much like Minnie Mouse. I think she is Minnie Mouse.
Mary?
You are Boo.
Yeah. Yeah, I was that 3-year-old girl, so I know Boo was supposed to be older, and they made her younger because of me, and she has pigtails because of me, so yeah.
Wasn't a stretch.
I relate to that.
Relating through hair care. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
relating
it.
through my hair.
All right, we are almost out of time here, so we're gonna get our questions out of the way pretty quick. I am loving all of this.
I got a question for you, Tony. You do work on Steven Spielberg, Who Framed Roger.
I did.
Well, part of the scene in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Donald Duck and Daffy Duck playing second Hungarian rap, their piano.
Right.
They're having an argument. They don't like each other.
They don't. But what was more fun was recording it, because I got to work with Mel Blanc, and we did that together. And I think it was probably the last thing that Mel Blanc did, and it was the first feature film that I did. And I was very excited. I was young. I was 23. And but they wheeled him in a wheelchair, and he was on oxygen, and looked pretty weak. And it was like... And I said, "It's very nice to meet you. It's an honor, Mr. Blank." And he's like, and I thought, how's this going to work? And Robert Zemeckis told us how he wanted to do that. He was directing like a live action director. And he said, all right, so Daffy's going to do this, and then Donald's going to do that. And they'd already shot the live action, and they played it on the screen. And he said, you're there, and you're there, and you'd say that. And action. And Mel Blanc jumped out of the wheelchair and threw off the oxygen mask and did Daffy like he was 23 years old. And I was like, whoa! I had to keep up. But it was only maybe a half an hour because it wasn't that many lines. And half of Roger Rabbit is Clarence Nash because I did the lines that they thought they needed at the time. And they needed more filler, and they didn't want to have to pay me to come back and do it. So they used library sounds of Clarence Nash. So half of that is Clarence, and the other half is me. And I'm proud that you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, that's successful right there.
That's great.
Thank you so much. There's so many rabbits and bunnies around here, I can't keep track anymore. Yes, sir. Reptile.
Yes, my name is Ty.
Could you eat the mic? It's hard to hear you.
Just get closer to it.
Is it?
Bang on it.
That's a sabotage mic.
Here.
It's been every mic.
Thank you. Anyways,
Approach the bar.
in Kingdom Hearts 3, a new mechanic is that Sora can summon new rides to help him in battle. So my question is, if your characters were a Disney ride, what would they be? Like, what kind of rides would best represent them?
Spinning teacups on acid. This is the speed round after all.
This is working again.
I've got rides at World, so it would probably be the Three Caballeros ride. And everybody watch the Three Caballeros when it comes out streaming next year. That's going to be a great show. Those guys did a really good job on that show, and I hope you like it. I'm excited about it. That was a plug. That was a shameless plug.
I want to interject that really quick. Did you also did the voice for Mickey's PhilharMagic at the Magic Kingdom, correct? Right. What was that like? Because that was a whole lot of Donald in one film. Was
I don't remember.
Well, good. Then
a lot of things I don't remember. I'll see things and go, I don't remember that. But that was a long time ago. So I'm sure I had a great time. I'm sure it was fun. I know it's a great attraction. It's fun to go on.
Good time.
Yeah.
I would say, and I don't know if anybody remembers this one, the Journey Through Inner Space.
Yes.
That was kind of actually my favorite Disneyland ride, and it sort of involves going into a tunnel. Shrunk, so that.
Well, I was at Disneyland ride. I'm on the Pooh ride, and you can hear me.
Me too.
Yeah, that's right.
And Monsters Inc. ride is in California Adventure, so
Yeah.
go check that one out.
Excellent.
All right, next question. Looks like we have 3 more.
Hi, my name is Jacob also.
You're a liar.
Anyways, my question is actually for all of you. In all of your long, varied careers, what would you each say is the best thing you think you have ever done?
This panel is the greatest thing that he's ever done. I know that.
Oh, yeah. One of the great things that I've ever done. I think this is just, yes, being the Disney characters, I think is when you're part of a history, a series of historical characters, you're one of them. You're in history. You know, when my grandchildren Google Owl, somewhere of all the characters, all the people that played Owl through the years, my name is going to be there. And that's thrilling. Yeah. So I'm thrilled for that.
What was the question again?
Oh, just what do each of you think is the best thing you've ever done?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, since my voice acting career ended when I was 3, I would say, though, the best thing that I've done now is I'm just an entrepreneur at heart. So I've started a couple online businesses. I have a fitness company and then an entrepreneurial workshop where I help people become entrepreneurs, help them dream and realize their passions, drip and revival. Those are those 2. And then I trade a lot in the Forex market. And so I guess just the best thing I've done is just becoming an entrepreneur and, making a name for myself besides from Monsters Inc. So.
That's great.
Oh, and a shameless plug. You could follow me on Instagram, yoga_boo. Thanks.
You shameless hussy.
Shameless.
Well, if we're going to plug anything, let me plug my audiobook company, which is listentoread.com. If you go to that address, you'll find a lot about American history, and you'll hear a lot of historic figures, and it's been a fun project for me, and so I got a great deal of satisfaction from that.
That was a double scoop. Let's go to Tony.
I think for me, in animation, Mickey's Christmas Carol was the most fun I had animating because I got to animate with the same guys that animated Bambi and Cinderella. They were all still there in their rooms, so I would have to take my scenes to Eric Larson or Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. So that was like being a part of Walt's era. And for Donald as the voice, I always prefer it when they do something that Walt's people called being on model, where the character has the integrity that you all have grown to know and love. And they did a really good job on the Three Musketeers. I think Donald is spot on model, and I was able to go over the dialogue and make sure it was clear and enunciated. And the new show that's coming up, Legend of the Three Caballeros, it was the same thing. He's drawn correctly, he's the right colors, and I was able to go over the dialogue and say, we can do that one better and that one clearer, and that one, we would shorten them down so you can understand it. So,
that was great.
Thank you.
All right, great. So we got time for one final question. Final question, make it a good one, no pressure.
So, hello, my name is Princess. Yes, it is.
Hi, Princess.
So my question is actually for Michael, because while I was reading your biography in the generously provided SacAnime catalog, thank you, I saw that you actually played the Nord cast for Skyrim. I know, sorry everybody who came here for Kingdom Hearts, but really, because while I was playing the game, I noticed that it was one guy playing all of it. So I wanted to ask you, how was the experience? Because that's something so quintessential to my own life.
Wow. Well, it was fantastic. It was great. And that was a little unusual in that it lasted for a while. Video games usually, you do it and it's done, and maybe a couple of sessions, and this was just spread out over a number of weeks. Not every week or all the time, but and I believe they did tell me when I was done. They said, you had more lines in this than anybody.
Yeah.
They said, say 2,987 or something, but it was quite gratifying in that there were so many different characters, and even though they probably sort of sounded similar, they had their different personalities, and some of them were pretty extreme, some of them were pretty, more contained and whatever. It definitely stands out as something that was different than a lot of other things, and really like, wow, this is really cool to get to do.
Thank you so much for your question. Appreciate it.
Oh.
That's our time, everybody. Give it up for our panel guests.